He escaped for 43 years. Then DNA exposed him, now serving in maximum prison. The test results came back at 2:17 a.m. A lab technician stared at the screen, confused at first, then frozen. The DNA didn't just match a suspect. It matched a ghost. A man who had vanished over 4 decades ago. A man police had stopped looking for. A man who, on paper, didn't even exist anymore. But now, he had a name again. And that name belonged to a quiet old man living in a small town. Someone neighbors described as kind, helpful, even harmless. Within hours, armed officers surrounded his home. He opened the door slowly, as if he had been expecting this moment for years. And when they said his real name, his face changed. After 43 years of running, the truth had finally caught up to him. But what did he do, and how did he stay hidden for so long? In the summer of 1979, the town of Maple Ridge was calm, the kind of place where people didn't lock their doors at night. Kids rode bikes until the streetlights came on, and neighbors trusted each other without question. That peace shattered one evening. A young woman named Clara disappeared after finishing her shift at a local diner. Her car was found parked behind the building, keys still inside, her purse untouched. It didn't make sense. Police searched everywhere, fields, forests, nearby roads, but Clara was gone. Days turned into weeks, and fear spread through the town. Parents kept their children close. Businesses closed early. Everyone wondered the same thing. Who could have done this? Then a break came. A witness came forward. He said he saw Clara talking to a man behind a diner that night. A man no one recognized. The description was vague, but it was enough to start something. Police began building a suspect list. One name stood out. Daniel Reeves, a quiet mechanic who had recently moved into town. He kept to himself, worked late, and rarely spoke to anyone. When officers went to question him, he was gone. His small apartment was empty. No clothes, no tools, no sign of a struggle. Just gone like he had vanished into thin air. And in that moment, police realized something chilling. They weren't just looking for a suspect anymore. They were chasing a man who had already started running. The search for Daniel Reeves grew fast. Then slowly, it began to fade. At first, his face was everywhere. On posters, on television, on the front page of newspapers. People called in tips from different states. Some said they saw him at gas stations. Others swore he was working under a fake name in another town. Police followed every lead, but none of them stuck. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. Clara Hayes was never found. And without a body, without strong evidence, the case started to grow cold. Detectives retired. Files were boxed up. New cases came in, pushing the old ones aside. Eventually, Daniel Reeves became just another name in a dusty folder. But Daniel didn't disappear. He became someone else. Hundreds of miles away, in a quiet town called Ashford, a man named Thomas Carter moved into a small house on a quiet street. He kept his lawn neat. He waved at neighbors. He worked as a repairman, fixing broken appliances and helping people with simple jobs. No one asked too many questions, because Thomas Carter seemed normal. He didn't talk much about his past. He said he had moved around a lot, said he didn't have family nearby. People accepted it. After all, some folks just like their privacy. Years passed. Thomas became part of town. He helped an elderly woman fix her heater during winter. He repaired a school's broken equipment for free. He even volunteered once at a community event. To everyone around him, he was a good man. But sometimes, late at night, neighbors noticed something strange. His lights would stay on until very late. And sometimes, he would just sit outside in the dark, staring at nothing, like he was waiting or remembering. Back in Maple Ridge, decades later, a new detective picked up Clara Hayes' case. Her name was Detective Laura Bennett. Unlike many before her, she wasn't ready to let it go. She believed that even old cases deserved answers. She read every report, every witness statement, every small detail. And one thing bothered her. Daniel Reeves didn't just run. He planned it. His apartment was too clean, too empty. It was like he had been preparing to leave before anyone even suspected him. That meant one thing. He was careful. And careful people make fewer mistakes, but they don't make no mistakes. So Laura looked again, not at what was missing, but at what was left behind. In a sealed evidence box, untouched for years, there was a small piece of fabric. It had been found near Clara's car. Back in 1979, technology wasn't advanced enough to do much with it. But now, things were different. Laura sent it to a lab. Weeks passed, then months. And just when it seemed like nothing would come of it, the lab called. They had found DNA. Not just any DNA. A full profile. Clear enough to match. Laura's heart raced. Because now, for the first time in over 40 years, they had something real. But there was one problem. The DNA wasn't in any database, which meant Daniel Reeves had never been caught for anything else. He had stayed clean, invisible, untouchable, for decades. Laura didn't give up. If Daniel wasn't in the system, maybe someone related to him was. She turned to something new, a growing tool in criminal investigations, genealogy databases. These were public platforms where people uploaded their DNA to learn about their family history. And sometimes those databases helped solve crimes. Laura submitted the DNA, then waited. Days passed. Nothing. Then one morning, a notification came through. There was a partial match. Not Daniel Reeves, but someone related to him, a distant cousin. It wasn't much, but it was enough, because now Laura had a starting point. She began building a family tree, branch by branch, name by name, following connections across states, across years, until one name stood out. A man who had no clear past before the 1980s. A man who appeared suddenly. Thomas Carter. Laura dug deeper. Thomas Carter had no birth records matching his story. No childhood photos. No old school records. It was like he had started existing as an adult, right around the time Daniel Reeves disappeared. The timeline fit perfectly. Too perfectly. Laura felt it. That quiet certainty detectives sometimes get. She didn't have full proof yet, but she was close. Very close. Surveillance began. Officers watched Thomas Carter from a distance. They followed his routine. He woke up early, drank coffee on his porch, went to work, came home, watched TV, slept. Nothing unusual. No sudden moves. No signs of panic. If he was Daniel Reeves, he had mastered the art of hiding. But even the best masks slip eventually. One day, Thomas threw something in the trash outside his home. A simple act. One no one would notice, except the officers watching. Later that night, they collected it. A discarded cup. Inside was saliva. DNA. They sent it to the lab. And then they waited. 3 days later, the results came back. A direct match. No doubt. No mistake. Thomas Carter was Daniel Reeves. After 43 years, they had finally found him. The arrest team moved in before sunrise. Silent, careful, they surrounded the house. Knocked on the door. Once, twice. Then it creaked open. Thomas stood there. Older now. Gray hair. Wrinkled face. But his eyes, they were sharp, alert, like a man who had been expecting this moment for a very long time. An officer spoke. "Daniel Reeves, you're under arrest." For a second, nothing happened. Then, a small, slow smile appeared on his face. Not fear, not surprise. Something else. Something colder. And as they placed the handcuffs on him, he said something that made every officer freeze. "I was wondering when you'd finally catch up." At the station, Daniel didn't resist. He didn't argue. He didn't even ask for a lawyer right away. He just sat there, calm, like a man who had finished a very long journey. Laura watched him through the glass. This was a man who had escaped for 43 years. The man who had lived a full life under a fake name. The man who everyone thought was gone forever. Now sitting just a few feet away. Real. Finally real. Interrogation began. Laura walked into the room, sat across from him. For a moment, neither of them spoke. Then she said softly, "Why did you run?" Daniel looked at her, studied her face, then leaned back in his chair. And for the first time, his calm expression cracked just a little. not with fear, but with something heavier, something buried, something dark. He took a slow breath and began to speak. But the story he started to tell was nothing like anyone expected. Daniel's voice was quiet at first, not shaky, not nervous, just steady. "I didn't plan to run at the beginning," he said, staring at the table instead of Laura. "That night wasn't supposed to happen the way it did." Laura didn't interrupt. She let the silence sit heavy in the room. Daniel continued. "I met Clara behind the diner. She knew me, not well, but enough. We had talked before. Small things. Nothing serious." He paused. His fingers tapped once against a metal table. "She trusted me." The room felt colder. Laura leaned forward slightly. "What happened that night, Daniel?" He closed his eyes for a moment, like he was replaying something he had tried to forget for decades. "We argued," he said. "It started small. Then it didn't stay small." His jaw tightened. "She said she was going to tell someone something about me, something I couldn't let get out." Laura's voice sharpened just a little. What was she going to tell? Daniel looked up now, straight at her, and for a second, there was something dangerous in his eyes. "I had done something before," he said. "Not here. Somewhere else. I thought I left it behind. But Clara," she found out. Laura felt her heart beat faster. "Another crime. Another secret. Did you hurt someone before Clara?" she asked. Daniel didn't answer right away. Instead, he gave a slow nod. And in that moment, the case became bigger than anyone had imagined. "I didn't mean to kill her," Daniel said suddenly. The words came out fast this time, like he had been holding them back for too long. "She pushed me. I pushed back. She fell at her head." He swallowed. "Hard. I panicked." Laura kept her voice calm. "And then what did you do?" Daniel's hands clenched together. "I made a choice." A long silence followed. Then, "I made sure she wouldn't wake up." Laura's stomach dropped. This was an accident. Not anymore. "Where is she?" Laura asked quietly. Daniel leaned back again, and for the first time, he hesitated. Real hesitation. "I don't remember exactly," he said. Laura's eyes narrowed slightly. "You expect me to believe that?" "I remember the road," he said quickly. "I remember driving. It was late, no one around. I just kept going until I felt far enough." His breathing got heavier now, less controlled. "I buried her." The words hung in the air. Heavy, final. "But the place, it's changed now. It's been years. I don't know if I could find it again." Laura didn't respond immediately, because she knew something. People like Daniel didn't forget. Not really. They just chose not to remember. News of the arrest spread fast. Across states. Across countries. Headlines exploded. "Fugitive caught after 43 years. DNA breakthrough solves cold case." People in Ashford couldn't believe it. The kind man who fixed their heaters, the quiet neighbor who waved every morning, was a murderer. Parents felt sick thinking about how close he had been to their children. Neighbors replayed every conversation they had ever had with him. Every smile now felt fake. Every memory tainted. Back in the interrogation room, Laura pushed harder. "You lived a normal life," she said. "You had chances to turn yourself in, to tell the truth. Why didn't you?" Daniel gave a small, almost tired smile. "Because I got away with it." The honesty of it was chilling. "No one was looking for me anymore," he continued. "After a while, it felt like I had won." Laura shook her head slightly. "You didn't win. You were hiding." Daniel tilted his head. "Isn't that the same thing?" he asked. Days later, search teams began looking for Clara's remains based on the small details Daniel provided. Old maps were pulled out. Roads that no longer existed were traced. Forests that had grown thicker over time were searched carefully. It wasn't easy. Years had changed the land. But investigators didn't stop, because now they were closer than ever. Meanwhile, more digging into Daniel's past revealed something even darker. The something Clara had discovered was real. Years before arriving in Maple Ridge, Daniel had lived in another state under his real name, and there, a young woman had gone missing. The case had never been solved. No suspect, No body. No answers. Until now, Laura stared at the file. 2 missing women. 2 timelines. 1 man. Her chest tightened. She realized something terrifying. Clara might not have been the first, and maybe not the only one. Back in his cell, Daniel sat alone. No TV, no distractions, just silence. For the first time in 43 years, he wasn't running. And strangely, he didn't seem afraid. A guard later said that Daniel spent hours just sitting still, staring at the wall, like he was finally letting all those years catch up to him. One evening, Laura visited him again. She placed a second file on the table. Another missing person. Another town. Another year. She watched his face carefully. "Tell me about her," she said. Daniel looked at the file, then at Laura, and this time, the calm mask didn't just crack. It broke. His lips parted slightly. His eyes shifted. And for the first time since his arrest, Daniel Reeves looked nervous. Real nervous. He leaned forward slowly and whispered something that made Laura's blood run cold. "I was hoping you'd never find that one." Outside, the search teams made a discovery. Not Clara. Something else. Bones. Old. Buried deep. Forensic teams rushed in. The area was sealed. And as investigators worked through the night, one question echoed through everyone involved. How many secrets had Daniel Reeves buried over 43 years? And as the truth began to surface, it became clear that catching him wasn't the end of the story. It was just the beginning.